CookieSwirlC. Today is a day to smile, especially if you love Poppy Playtime. Oh, I love that game. So we're gonna be looking at the Chapter 3 Smiling Critters. I've got a bag of the Smiling Critters figures inside of here. These are not official, so these will be very interesting, and I'm expecting some pretty bad paint job. I mean, you can just see right here from the bag. Is that supposed to be DogDay? Is that DogDay? I think it's DogDay. So we've got a whole bunch of Smiling Critters here. Should we go critter by critter? Let's go critter by critter. Let's start with DogDay. I've got 3 different styles of the Smiling Critters in this collector set. This is DogDay, and you can see he's represented in 3 different kind of styles here. We have a mini style, we have a very tall yellow orangey style, and this larger style, which looks good, but it's just not painted very well. So they didn't put too much attention to detail on these. I mean, these ones, the tall ones are really, really interesting looking. He's really flat looking on the back versus the back of the other ones. The one in the middle isn't even posing, while the other 2 are like, hey, I'm DogDay. The one that's done the best, that has the most painting, of course, is the smaller one. It actually has multiple different colors, including painting his little medallion that he has on him. I think they did a pretty good job on the smaller one. The larger one does have some paint job issues. You can see the spray paint is definitely chipping. He's not even spray painted on the back. It's just completely flat color. But they did try. They did try. They even painted his tongue. So there is some effort on this figure. While the really yellowy one, I mean, the color is very, very strange. It just looks like a mascot. It looks like someone's in a plush suit because it actually has that line kind of going down on his stomach. What is his color next to Kickin' Chicken? Okay, here's a tall Kickin' Chicken. Again, just very minimal effort. You know, they tried to paint his beak. Really didn't do that good of a job. The color is halfway painted on his beak. They did get his star painted. He's a lighter yellow than DogDay. I mean, at least Kickin' Chicken is supposed to be yellow. All right, let's look at the smaller Kickin' Chicken. This one looks pretty good. I think the pose is pretty good compared to his little cartoon picture that we normally see. They painted his feet. They did pretty good. They even got his eyebrows. They got his eyebrows on there. This medium-sized Kickin' Chicken, yeah, they painted his eyebrows, which on the tall skinny one, they didn't even paint his eyebrows. And his eye isn't painted quite right. You know, there's some attempt to actually paint his star. His beak isn't painted all that well. It's hard to tell that's a tongue in his mouth. He's got a little bit of some dirt marks. I'll probably just have to clean him up a little bit. Overall, not too bad with Kickin' Chicken. Ooh, this is interesting. Okay, let's look at Picky Piggy. I mean, the tall one in the middle. It's interesting on this one that the whole entire Picky Piggy figure has been actually painted in that hot pink. So if I'm not careful with how I display this actually could chip the paint. There's a tiny little chip already right there on Picky Piggy's arm. I don't think this is done too badly. You know, the apple is painted in gold. The eyes are painted. It looks accurate to Picky Piggy. I do like the smaller figures though. I like that it's actually Picky Piggy sitting down and has the apple. Paint job doesn't look too good on these though. The smaller one too is completely painted pink, and then they added the extra details in. The mouth looks kind of sloppy with how it's painted. A lot of dirt on the back. That definitely needs to be cleaned up from the factory. I mean, there's a giant space around the tongue that didn't get painted. But hey, they did paint the inside of her ears. Look at how curly and long her tail is, especially in comparison to this one. This Picky Piggy, the tail is completely molded on, and what is going on the back of her head? Yeah, there's a giant piece of plastic still sticking out. The paint is really rough. It looks like she was painted and then she fell over, and then they picked her back up and then tried to fix the paint that got smudged. Same weird rough paint even on her butt. Oh, I'm so sorry to say this, but the painting on the apples are not good. The apple charm necklace is half painted. The actual apple that she's holding is only painted a little bit on the front, and they didn't even attempt to paint it on the back. But they did paint it on the smaller Picky Piggy. Paint job not done well. You can see the eyes are not in the spots where it's supposed to be. They're supposed to be a little bit lower, closer to her face. So they didn't quite hit the mark with the airbrush of the eyes. Same thing with the nose. The nose is kind of airbrushed a little off. So the stencil that they use for that was definitely not put on right. And that just continues right into her mouth. The tongue doesn't quite line up with the color, and the airbrush is just not very strong with the black. But I do have to say, I do love Picky Piggy. I am afraid of her, but I do really like her character, so I still do really love these despite the flaws. I'm gonna love all of these, you guys. I love Poppy Playtime, and Chapter 3, I'm obsessed with it. I can't stop watching VTubers playing it. The Hoppy Hopscotch family. Let's take a closer look at what we have going on. All right, the taller one, just like the other ones, just pretty basic. The green paint is an airbrush overspray on top of probably a white base. And then they went in with the black details to add in the eyes, the mouth, and the stomach detail. Yeah, I'm gonna have to be careful with how I display these because you can kind of see that paint chipping already right there behind the leg there. These two are posed. The smaller Hoppy Hopscotch is a lighter green while the other one is a dark green. Painting of the tongue isn't quite right. It's like she has two tongues. A little bit of some rough paint and some marks behind her. Her tail is halfway painted. Overall, not too bad though. All right, green Hoppy, let's see. Again, just kind of some quality control issues. Bit sloppy with painting of the eye. Looks like there's some white marking above one of the eyes. The nose is sloppy. The tongue could be better, but at least it's not a double tongue like this Hoppy. And there definitely was a struggle with painting that lightning bolt charm. And some of the paint that was airbrushed on in the back is chipping away. But overall, I like these. I mean, of course the quality's not too good on these, but hey, they look like the characters and that makes me smile. Smile. All right, I guess that means we're gonna be taking a closer look at the CatNap family. Ooh, this is interesting. We've got some variations here. Okay, we've got the little moon sea. Two of them are painted in yellow. On the taller one, it's painted in black. Two of the catnaps are the same purple color, while the smaller one is a lighter purple. The taller catnap does not have a tail, but I think the overall paint job on this one is done pretty well. And these are gonna vary, probably by figure, depending on how quickly they were spray painted. So some of them could have really messed up eyes, or some of them could be pretty nice, like this one. Now, these two catnaps, I'm pretty impressed at the tail detail, especially on the smaller one, because that's actually a 3D tail. Do you see this tail? I could actually take it and unwrap it from CatNap. Versus this one here in the middle, even though it's a really long tail, it's actually molded to his body, so you cannot remove it or move it around. The CatNap figures kind of have the best detail. The eyes are in place on this one, the tongue looks all right. So I think they did a better paint job on this one, a little bit more detail. And same thing with the smaller CatNap. Looks pretty good with where the paint job is. And they even did an extra detail of painting his hands and his feet. Bubby BearHug. Ooh, this is interesting too. The one in the middle is more of like a deep cherry red color. For the tall standing one, ooh, something happened with the eyes. You can see it looks like there's extra like black lines. They kind of look like bags under her eyes a little bit. So she looks a little extra tired, okay? This is the tired Bubby BearHug. I don't think they did that on purpose in comparison to the other figures. So it was probably just an overspray of the airbrush. And it looks like her hand got a little bit of some random black paint on her too. Couple marks on the back. You know, they did actually give her a tail though. Same thing with Picky Piggy, but those are the only two smiling critters. The taller version actually was given a tail. Kickin' Chicken, DogDay, CatNap, and Hoppy Hopscotch, none of them have a tail detail. Tail detail. Huh. Look at the different tails on these two. The smaller one has a longer tail and the other one just kind of has like a little boop, like a little nub. I think the paint on these ones look pretty good. The heart, the tongue, the eyes are all painted nicely. I've got a little bit of a scrape on the nose on my Bubby BearHug. And on the smaller one, they actually painted in the ears. The eyes look good, the tongue. And again, they did the additional effort of painting in the hands and the feet too. And even her stomach. I'm Bubbaphant. All right, Bubbaphant. This is interesting too. We've got some variations in here. The smaller one being a completely different blue than the other two. And what is going on with the painting of like the necklace charms? It's supposed to be a light bulb painted, but it kind of looks like a chicken leg. Oh, mine is very, very scuffed up. The top of his trunk has a lot of scuffs. His body, his tail are kind of scuffed up. Oh, the back of him too. Do you guys see how many marks he has? His paint is really starting to chip away on him. All right, I'll have to be extra careful with this one. This Bubbaphant doesn't look too bad. He also doesn't have a tail. Yeah, some quality control issues, a black mark on one of his ears, and he's missing some of his airbrush on the other ear. That kind of looks like maybe where he was being held as maybe he was being spray painted. So they kind of forgot to go over that area again, you know, and give it some paint. He's got some scuffs on the back, but hey, at least it looks like him. The little small figure's really cute. It's just a different color blue than the other two. The light bulb is even painted with a little extra little heart on it. They even managed to go underneath his trunk and paint his mouth and tongue pretty well. Looks pretty good from the back. And again, they painted his ears and his hands and feet in. Oh, and the tip of his tail. Now we've got a favorite, CraftyCorn. Wow, okay, this one probably probably has the most variation between the 3 figures. First of all, the most obvious thing is the colors. We've got lots of different colors here. And look at how her flower charm necklace is all painted completely different too. Okay, this one, eyes are painted in the right place. She's got a little spot there on her muzzle. Mouth is painted okay. Flower is a little sloppy there. They did give this one a tail. Her color though is very monotone. This one is not an overspray on her. That's actually her color. So they poured the plastic to actually be white and then just painted in the black and the flower details. I love the pose on this one. Wow, okay, on this one, they actually did different pieces. So it looks like her body, her hair, and her tail are all 3 different pieces, and then they attached them all together to create this little figure. They did that with DogDay too. See how his ears are a separate piece? And with Kickin' Chicken, his top hair piece is completely separate than the rest of his body. So they did do a little extra to create CraftyCorn. Missing some paint in some areas, like under her arm there, missing some white airbrush. So it could be a little neater. This one, it looks like they just had so much fun with the airbrush. They just kind of went psh, 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 and just sprayed her body with the blue just to say, see, we did it, we added color. But she has absolutely no airbrush color at all on the back of her. They only had enough for the front, I guess. She looks kind of angry. Maybe this is whenever she's screaming for more red paint. Give it here! They did paint the flower charm in 2 different colors. Okay, that's all of the figures. Now let's cluster them all and group them by style. So here are all the really tall styled ones. So they all have that same exact style. They've got those really long legs and kind of like a round ball hand and feet. Very minimally painted. They all have been painted except for CraftyCorn. That's the only one where that's actually the true white plastic, which makes sense because they're all probably white and then they added that overspray on top of it. But I like these. I mean, this is a different take on the smiling critter, so it's nice to see them like this. Now these ones, I like the poses of these ones. These ones are more smiling critter-like. Definitely quality control issues as I went over each and every one of them. But I like their size of this one. This one's just like a nice large size. I like these. I'm happy to have these ones in my collection. Especially that CraftyCorn. The fact that that airbrush is just really just sprayed on so randomly. I like that. But you guys know I like things to be different. Now the smaller figures probably are the most accurate looking to the smiling critters. They have the most paint details added to them. So I'm really happy to have these ones too. Also in the background, I've had these smiling critter keychains. I did a shorts on these. So I'm happy to have more smiling critters merch added to my collection since I'm absolutely just crazy about Poppy Playtime. And I'm sure if you're watching this video, you are also crazy about Poppy Playtime too. So here is my smiling critters collection. Keep on smiling and I'll see you back in my next video. Bye you guys.